G'day, Steve from offthegridnoz.com again. That's Stephen Carey. I keep forgetting Carey. Yes, it looks like a video about my hydroponics, but it's actually not. This video is a little bit to do with the system, a little bit to do with people and the fear of how do I make the jump off grid. Again, directed more at the people who aren't necessarily very old or established. If you're new to the off-grid thing and you're perhaps only 30 years of age and just settled into a job, all this shit is pretty scary. No doubt of that. No one would argue that with you. And by the way, I'm out here. I've turned my outdoor area into a construction zone again. Got the last bit of my framework up. And this is to do with holding a job, the money and all of that stuff. I'm, for example today, this is a Monday. I should have actually probably gone to work today. I chose not to. I chose to take the day off and work on my own little nuts and bolts. In this case it was the shade cloth extension to the back of the kitchen, the full wraparound hydroponic Dutch bucket wicking bed garden that we're putting in right round the kitchen. But yeah, people get all hung up about this thing to do with the money, and look, no one's going to deny it's not an important topic, and yeah, it warrants a relative amount of thinking. I hate seeing people though that seem to be stuck in what I would politely and kindly call the eternal planning phase. The eternal planning phase, and look, I've run into people in the real world. I've got actually friends or family even that tend to get stuck in this, the planning stage. As I pan around to my stuff, just so you don't die of boredom listening to my voice. But this eternal planning stage is a trap that you can fall into. Sometimes. And yeah, I know it's different when it comes from older people. Older people, they maybe have a bit more experience, being knocked around, and maybe have a bit more guts and glory to show, because they've taken the bruises and they're a bit more used to it. But if you're new, all I can say to you is plan as far ahead as it takes to get the money to get your land together. All right, that's first step. If you can arrange how to get the money, I'm not going to advocate that you go out there and flat lie, but if you have to bullshit to the bank and use the job that you've got, knowing that you're going to throw your job in 3 months, and the bank gives you a small mortgage on a block of land somewhere, and you know full well you're not going to hang on to that job, you're going to do something else, well, that's none of their fucking business, and that's fibbing to the bank a little bit, but they can get over it. Let's face it, if you've got kids, you can always sell one of them to pay them more. No, I didn't say sell the kids. We would never sell our kids. Although we've got enough, we could sell 1 or 2, but I've mentioned that in another video. But yeah, look, all this fear about the money and making the jump off grid, it's a constant topic that gets thrown up on, forums, it gets thrown up on Faceplant. We mentioned it a little bit on I've got a couple other videos up there that run into this topic of the system and the fear. You got to lose the fear. You got to stop the eternal planning. If you don't stop the eternal planning, you're going to wind up planning forever. You're going to wind up searching or making the big mistake that a lot of people do. They continually search for the negatives. They search for the problems. I can assure you, and you ask anyone with a few years under their belt, if you search for reasons why not to do something, guess what? I got to tell you, you'll always find a reason why not to do something. And the end result of that, more often than not, unfortunately, is that people wind up not doing something because they found a reason why not to do it. Fucking forget that, right? You got to get some... how's it go? It's the guts and glory statement. There's no glory without showing some guts. I'm not saying that you should go out there and rob a bank or... Although, shit, that thought really has ended my head a couple of times. I've never seriously implemented it, so get off my back. But yeah, look, you've got to stop and find the guts to sometimes make a decision that won't necessarily sit comfortable with you. I'll cite my own example. When I was, my first trip, not off grid that on the first one, but I was only 23. Yeah, that's like about 14,000 phases of the moon ago. I moved to an area that was an hour and a bit away from where I bought the property. And I did that because of family, my kids. I didn't want them to grow up in the suburbs. And I had to do the commute, you know. And so all I can suggest to you that maybe you figure out what employment that you may look for if you have to have full-time employment. But then draw a circle around it, you know, allow that chunky hour. You know, this country's got lots of freeways. They're horrid frickin' things that cost $18 gazillion. They're everywhere. Pick a block of land in a place that is maybe even not necessarily the ideal or the perfect place, but pick a block of land where you can jump on one of these freeways and pay the price. Pay the price of making the gutsy step to actually make the jump, and whilst you're forgetting the money to a degree. And commit not only to your off-grid, not only to your new lifestyle, but commit to the commute if that's what you must do. If you don't feel you can handle selling eggs, or, you know, renting out a room, or growing vegetables and selling them at the local market, or taking up a craft and earning money, whatever the fuck, you know. If you can't commit to that, well, commit to the commute, but make the jump. Don't sit there and spend another 6 months pondering the whys, pondering the questions, pondering the things that may jump up into the forefront of your mind that cause you to balk. Stop balking. You know, I wish I'd have gone seriously off grid 25, 30 years ago, but we're only about 8 years into it now, and that's like a blink in the ocean. A lot of people have been doing it a lot longer than us. But that's because I was stuck with, I'm a tradie, and I was stuck with contracting, and you like my buckets down there, they're all going good. That's on a side note. But yeah, look, I still work, I'm still a tradie, and I'm 61, so, you know, yeah, sure, I'm going to work 2 days this week, maybe 3 days this week. Won't make me rich. I'm not going to be able to run out and buy my fucking BMW. Not that I want a freaking BMW, but yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. But what I will bring in is enough to pay what we all go, oh, we've got to be debt free. Well, you know, I got a car, I got a couple of cars. We're going to pay the rego, we're going to pay the bloody, you know, you've got to pay for your license, you've got to pay for your internet, you've got to pay for your phone, you've got to pay to eat, although eating's optional. You know, you can actually survive a long time without food. I kid you not, you can. Alright, I'm not suggesting you do that. You might have kids, but then if you've taken my advice and sold the kids, well, you'll be right. I know, people hate me for that. We got 7 kids and 20 grandkids, alright, so get off my case. Kids are kids are great. All the grandkids are great, if I could remember all their bloody names. But yeah, look, you got to lose this fear. You got to stand up and be candid, and, you know, stop worrying about what your dad says, what your mum says, what your kids say. Oh, I got to live here, got to live there. You don't got to live anywhere. You know where you got to live? You got to live where you want to live. You got to live the lifestyle you want to live. The only way you're going to get that is to stop worrying about everything, you know. Plenty of time to worry later. And people go, oh, that's irresponsible, Steve. Well, fuck you. Yeah, there's an element of irresponsibility with everything to do with alternative lifestyle and off-grid. You know, no one would deny that. There is an element of irresponsibility. You might be opting out of the system. You might be minimising your tax. You might be growing your own food, not supporting Coles and Woolworths. There's lots of things that smack and fly in the face of the system that cause you to look a little bit different than everyone else. And a lot of people, when you're different, they go, oh, he's just irresponsible. Well, you know, have a look at my irresponsible, you know. And yeah, I'm home on a Monday and I'm doing my own work because I frickin' want to, you know. I've never had a public holiday paid for. I've never had annual leave. I've been a contractor my whole life. No one ever cuts a check for me unless I go out there and, you know, outside that proverbial gate, you know. If you need to go outside that gate and go and stay in your comfort zone and stay safe, well, you know, look for a freeway, follow it out as far as it goes, measure the time, cut yourself a a commitment to, or make a commitment to yourself that you're going to cut that hour out every day and put up with the commute, whatever the hell it takes. Stop dilly-dallying around, asking 400,000 people the same question, you know. Oh, what do you do about income? Fuck the income, right? You're not on this fucking planet for income. Unfortunately, it's a small component of it, but you have to get into the state of mind where it is just a small component. Bad luck if you have to go without for a while. Bad luck if you have to work and you don't see much reward for it straight away. Bad luck. Bad luck if you've got to get in your car and go and commute. Do what more people should be doing. Get some guts up. And yes, I've turned the outdoor kitchen into a bloody workshop again. All weekend I've had tools scattered everywhere. This is really bad. But yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to create a mess before you can actually create heaven, as I keep saying. But yeah, look, I just want to encourage the new people. You know, stop worrying about the fear. If you're worried about the fear, you'll never have your... Look at that, we put 2 new hydroponics pipes up yesterday. Sorry, I digress everywhere. Anyone want to come and shovel these barrels full of dirt for me? I got about, well, I think I cut, what did I cut up? About 20 of them to add to the collection. But yeah, if you want to get to the point where you can cut up your own barrels or put your own hydroponics up, or harvest your own lettuce and shit, sell an egg to the neighbours, fucking do whatever it takes, guys. Just, if you have to, get together with other people in the community where you live. Find out where these people are. Don't be reclusive. I mean, nothing wrong with being reclusive, but if you're new and you're young, hey, find the other people. Those people will encourage you. Those people will support you. Most good off-gridders, I've got to put those in those buckets. I really got to get my ass moving. Most good off-gridders in your area, if you're a nice enough person, they'll probably help you. They'll probably give you some encouragement and some advice. But stand up and be counted and get moving. Don't become part of this eternal planning group. You know, I know a lot of people have got real reasons that no rave from me can sort out. Real reasons why it's just too tough for them to do it. Because of the stinking system, and I feel for those people. But if you've got the opportunity and all that's stopping you is, oh, I can't live without $800 a week, well, fuck, if your mortgage that you need to get is only $200 a week, you go looking for somewhere where you can round up 200 bucks a week. Worry about the nuts and bolts later, because when you get off grid, if you can just cover the outgoings, the food, you'll have to get off your ass and grow, and you'll feel 10 times better for it. Mentally, physically, spiritually, you will feel 10 times better for it. But you don't want to waste another 2 years pondering the pros and cons. You know, oh, I'm looking for land. How many times have I seen that? And I'm not hanging shit. But you know, there's a time for looking and there's a time for doing. So, anyway, there's a short video, I hope. Because I've got to get back to work and start working on my buckets. I haven't had any volunteers come forward to fill my buckets up. These Dutch buckets, the wicking bed buckets are really, really good. I've made a couple of videos on the pipe work and stuff that we've done here. Stuff that you can do on a weekday when you should be working to earn money. I don't get paranoid about losing a day's pay. And it's not because I've got 4 digits sitting in the bank either, I haven't. But I refuse to let the money rule my day. I would rather have this sort of stuff and this sort of stuff and that sort of stuff rule my day. That's what I would have take control over me and place pressure on me. The pressure on me is to do this stuff, alright? It's not go to work and earn an extra fucking $300 just so I can go down to Coles and Safeway and give it to them so that they can fucking grow even into a bigger corporation. No, no, no. Alright? So it's meant to be inspirational. Sorry if I get a bit abrasive. Never mind. That's what you get from Stephen Carey and from offthegridnoz.com. Reality's a bitch, you know. Worry about the nuts and bolts after you make the jump. Make the jump, then sort it out. Don't bend yourself out of shape or give yourself a bloody heart attack thinking about it too much before you do it. Go find the land. Budget for that. Budget for that only. If you can afford, even on the budget off the dole. I've actually known people that have done this. Working people. They figure out what they can afford on the dole as a couple, and they figure their finance out around that. So if they need to borrow a few bucks to get kicked off and get going, they just work it around that. And so just so that even the bloody dole payment, or what do they call it these days? I've never been on the dole, so I don't know, but what do they call it? Oh, shit, work something or other. Yeah, whatever the hell that is. But yeah, budget it on that. At least then you'll cover that, and you won't lose your land, and you'll be stuck at home, and you'll be tending your garden, and you'll be breathing fresh air, and you'll be catching buckets of water off your roof, and whatever the hell you can afford, you'll be drinking fresh water, cutting your own firewood, light a fire in the evening out in the open. You'll be living the life, right? So stick this fucking bullshit away about, don't know where I'm going to work. Do the commute. Work it out. Make the jump. Do it today. Don't do it in 6 months. Don't tell anyone any bullshit about, oh, your mum, your dad, your kids, they all said. Fuck what they said. Remember that? It's what you want to do. If you've got little kids, you make a tough call on their behalf. They will appreciate it at some point down the road. Maybe not the first few years, but down the road they will appreciate it. So cheers from Stephen Carey from offthegridnoz.com. Subscribe and like and share and all that if you feel like it. This video's not particularly, I'm not particularly worried about that sort of caper, but yeah, look, if you feel like punching the button, other people might get the video and someone might get something out of it. I'm going back to doing my buckets and pots and stuff. It looks like it's going to rain, so I've got to get my ass moving. Alright, so cheers. We'll catch you on the next one. And have a good day. Think positive. And we'll catch you soon. Bye guys.